Good afternoon. Today I just wanted to go over my diversity plan that I've been working on. This is for a requirement in my EFD 552 class. As you all know, I'm in the Instructional Leadership Program at Jacksonville State. This is my final semester and my final project. So as we go over this stuff, I just want you to think about our student population, how this applies. Think about some of your students personally and things that you see that relate to some of the things I talk about. All right, the first clip is just a quick little video I want you to show. It's a short video. There's no sound, but this gives you, I want you to think about what is diversity and what would life be like without diversity. It's just a fun little video. Take you back to the old silent movie Gumby series, but I think you'll get the point after you watch a little clip. Life without diversity. That's what our world would look like.
Empty.
Empty. Think about C.F. Taylor without diversity. It would be empty. And then as we bring color and change back into our world, what do we see?
Change.
There we go. We see change. We see a world with different colors, different people, from all different backgrounds. And there is what life would be like with and without diversity. This next slide is the common misconception most people have about diversity. As you can see, this is a little clip, little comedian clip, but it says, "I could be wrong, but I believe diversity is an old wooden ship that was used during the Civil War era." Yeah, it's a joke and it's funny, but sadly, a lot of people view diversity this way. They don't really understand what it is and how it works, especially in a school system. A lot of teachers, a lot of administrators don't truly understand some of our kids' makeup, where they come from, and their background and history. So understanding diversity is the key to being a better educator. The true definition of diversity. The first definition is the one I came up with, and it says diversity is a mindset that allows the individual to make a choice about how they choose to view the world around them physically, emotionally, and socially. Every member of the society deserves to be treated with kindness, love, compassion, respect, and individuality regardless of their religion, disability, ethnicity, sexuality, economic status, and gender. The second definition I picked up from one of our fellow classmates, and it just says, love thy neighbor as thyself. It's just a good overall statement. And the last one is a statement I got from the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles, California. I actually was able to visit this as an undergraduate. It's an awesome place to go if you ever vacation out on the West Coast. You need to check out this museum. You really walk away with a different mindset. Okay, for today's presentation project, I want to look at some graphs to look at the data. Today we're going to look at the ethnicity, socioeconomic status, and disability for our students at C.F. Taylor. We're also going to tie that into the county as a whole, as we look at Baldwin County Public School System, just to look at the correlation between low economic status and how diversity factors tie into that. So our first graph is an ethnicity breakdown of C.F. Taylor. As you can see, I've broken it down into different race at the bottom. White students were right at about 41% here at C.F. Taylor. Our African American population is at 49%. Hispanic population kind of changes as we go along, but on average, we're usually around 5 to 8% of our students fall into this category. And in the other categories, we just don't have a high population of students in general in the county. So our highest areas are African American students, white students, and we're starting to see a rise in our Hispanic students. The second slide is our county ethnicity representation. I want to make a comparison here to the county, which is the first graph down at the bottom. As you can see, county-wide African American students, roughly 13% county-wide. Here at C.F. Taylor, 49% of our students fall into that range. That's a humongous range. There's a strong correlation I think we're going to see just with ethnicity into some of these diversity factors that we're going to talk about. The second one I want to look at is socioeconomic status. Okay, this pie represents all the students here at C.F. Taylor. The gray area of the pie, the big piece of the pie, is all the students on free and reduced lunch, coming from a lower socioeconomic status. The small slice in blue, those are the students who actually pay for their lunch here on campus. I believe we're at one student right now that pays for their lunch. The rest of our campus is free and reduced lunch. Again, looking at those factors of diversity. How does it affect students' performance, behavior, academics, and it all ties together. Here's the county comparison, how we compare to the county. Overall, like I said, we're at 99% free and reduced. You know, these kids come from low economic households. In the county, it was 61% as a whole. When you look at those numbers, again, we have a definite significant difference between the county and our students here at CF Taylor when we're nearly 100%. The last comparison I wanted to make today was our special education population. Here at CF Taylor, we are 100%. Our students have an IEP and have been identified as being needing special services. Our county, the breakdown was very, very low. I think overall, I think it was 13% of the county. 13 to 19%, I think, was the actual figure. But you can see from the graph, you just get the difference. And again, the factors that we look at of diversity, how it affects academic performance and behavior. Okay, this next chart, we're going to go into actual test results from the county. I pull these off the state website. These are the 11th grade students and their breakdown in English, math, reading, science, and then overall in the fourth benchmarks. These are the students who met the actual benchmark in each subject area. For English, 48% of our students, of our 11th grade students, met the benchmark on the ACT. We're low in mathematics, reading, 22% science. So you can just see the graph. Think about how our county is. This is the overview of our 11th grade students. Okay, the Baldwin County Public Schools ACT test data. This is the following slides we're going to look at is the 10th grade students. And I only pulled the students that are at or below poverty level. All the kids on free and reduced lunch across the county. We're going to look specifically at them. The breakdown, Tier 1, the student did not meet the standard at all. So they did not meet the standard. On Tier 2, they partially met the standard. And then Tier 3, they met the standard. And Tier 4, they exceeded the standard. So we go to the next slide, you'll understand. That's the breakdown. Okay, here's the graph. 10th grade students that took the ACT plan. All these students listed were the students living in poverty in our county. Remember, Tier 1 did not meet standard. 81% of our students living in poverty did not meet the standard in math. Over 50% did not meet the standard in science. You know, English, we saw some positives in English because there's a lower percentage of students that did not make the standard in English, but when you look at our math and science scores, that's drastic. And then as you step it down, that partially met the standard were still very high, and almost 50% of the students in English did not make the standard. So we can see right here at the beginning of our graph, we have some things to work on with our students that are living in poverty. We need to find some ways to make changes in those areas. All right, what this means for us here at CF Taylor, what this means for schools in general. Education is the key to getting out of generational poverty. Okay, and that sounds easy. Yeah, send everybody to school and they're going to be successful. But that's not exactly what we're going to look at. I want to break it down into how individuals leave poverty. And there's 4 reasons why. First one, you have a goal or a vision. The second one, a painful situation that occurred that was so bad that you decided, I never want to live like this again. The third is through a sponsor, a teacher, a coach, a mentor, a counselor, someone that works with you that just tells you, you know, there's more to life than what you're living, and I want to show you that. And last, obviously, a specific talent. If you watch NFL or NBA or baseball, you're going to see some people just have a talent. They're able to get out of whatever environment they're living in. But those are the 4 ways to get out. Again, education is the key. We're going to talk about how we direct our focus, though, in education to help these students. All right, when you think about your students in class, I want you to look at this list and tell me if they don't meet every single one of these issues. These are typical characteristics of students living in poverty. Disorganized, excuses, don't do homework, physically aggressive. They like to entertain. They only see part of the problem. Partially complete work. They procrastinate. They can't monitor their own work or their behavior. They laugh when they get disciplined. They decide to work in class based on whether they like you or not. And that's a key point right there because that's going to be part of my plan. The students aren't going to engage. If they don't like you, they're not going to work with you. It's that simple. Obviously, they're going to tell stories in the casual register, which we'll talk about in a minute. And last is just a dislike and they'll often talk back to authority. So as you think about your students, I mean, in my class, we hit every one of those every single day.
Yeah, pretty much.
How does this apply to our students? All right, the primary motivation for success for our students will be relationships and connections they make with school staff. When it comes down to it, the relationship you make with your students is what's going to benefit them the most overall. It's everything we talk about is the relationships. It's a support system. It's showing you care about the students. It's promoting student achievement, which for us might be very simple, very small. We might see a student go from 5% of the work turned in to 15%. But that's a 10% growth that we need to show them we're noticing that achievement we care about. And last, insist on student successful behavior at school. We can't just expect them to act a certain way. We have to model and teach them how to act. Establishing relationships. Being a role model mentor is the key to changing the poverty cycle in the school setting. This includes creating a support system, establishing long-term relationships. Okay, these kids, they don't come from structured environments. So here at school, we can provide that structured environment. We need to teach the hidden rules of society, identify options, and increase student achievement, along with teaching them how to develop and set goals and set new skills. The role of language. This was one of the key areas discussed in the book that I was reading. And the register of language, there's two forms of register of language. You have a casual form and you have a formal. Casual is conversation between friends. It's 400 to 800 words, very simple vocabulary. Most of our students fall into the casual registry of language. They have a very simple vocabulary, and that's why a lot of times they will struggle on academic schoolwork. The formal language is going to be your schoolwork, the talk you have as you're employed in a professional job, and all standardized testing. And again, we just looked at standardized testing areas with weakness, and we see right here that our students just aren't familiar with aren't familiar with formal language. The discourse patterns, that is just the way you communicate. In formal language, you're going to get straight to the point. In casual language, you're going to go around and around and around to maybe eventually get to the point, maybe not. And it also ties into story structure, how our students think and write and interpret. It comes down to this. In a formal storytelling, you're going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You're going to have a beginning plot in a casual setting, you're going to start with the end of the story first. And then you're going to interact with your audience, and they're going to interact in your story. There's going to be a lot of audience participation, and then at the end it's going to end with a comment about the original character. So the storylines that we're used to is much different than the way the students we work with tell stories. So the key to changing this is to incorporate both casual and formal language in your instruction. Okay? Here is my plan for our awareness project. I'm going to call it the C.F. Taylor Diversity Awareness Project. My first step is just to establish an annual school pride and unity building activity. All the students are going to work together to make building improvements. This includes, planting flowers, pulling weeds, picking up trash, exterior cleanup, window washing. We're going to wash some school buses. Just things they can do, building teamwork, setting goals, working together. We're going to follow that up with a reward and a team barbecue. This is going to celebrate teamwork, goal setting, and we're going to celebrate diversity because kids are going to be mixed and matched and working together. So this is my first plan, is just this school-wide school pride building unity activity. Second, we're going to set up a tolerance time. I've talked with Mr. Johnson, and he believes we can set up a 10 or 15-minute period in the morning where each teacher will work on teaching formal and casual register with their students. This will include oral and written storytelling. We're going to work on decision-making strategies, identifying factors of poverty. We're going to work on coping skills, goal setting, teaching tolerance, and then teaching an adult language development. A lot of our students don't have an adult language. They still speak from a child's point of view, and they need to have these steps built into their daily instruction. And I think we can fit 10 or 15 minutes of these things in. If you can't do it every day, 2 or 3 days a week, but just we need to make them familiar with how these things work and make them familiar with these different forms. And last, we're going to set up a shadow program. This is going to be, we're going to start out small. Each teacher will have a student they're going to mentor, and they're just going to build that relationship, establish, make a connection, get to know that student, show them, model appropriate behavior. Discuss some things with them that they just need to see from a different point of view than what they get at home. My goal for that is eventually to get some peer shadowing going as the year goes on, maybe in the next year. But to start out, I just want us to all pair up with 1 or 2 students and just shadow the student. And we're going to call that the shadow program. And hopefully that will build on itself. And eventually we'll have maybe some older kids working with some younger kids. And we'll just see this flow as the year goes on. These are going to be ongoing projects that we'll be working on. Obviously, the annual school probably will do that every year. We might try to do it twice a year. Tolerance time, that's going to be a new thing. We'll try to start that this year, initiate it, and I'll help you out with some things. I have some ideas we can go with. And then the shadow program, hopefully that's going to build on itself. Ongoing professional development. In talking with Mr. Johnson, I would like to incorporate language development into the daily curriculum and instruction, so we're covering that across all the different curriculum areas. We'll talk about that in our monthly planned learning committees, our PLC meetings. So monthly, I just want us to find ways we can apply casual language storytelling, formal language storytelling into our daily instruction. Second, I want to reevaluate the C.F. Taylor School-Wide Behavior Incentive Program. And I want to incorporate more decision-making and self-evaluation. I think that's really going to help our students, and that's something we'll do this summer and apply next school year. Finally, I want to expand the shadow program to include some more peer monitoring opportunities. We'll look at doing that in the fall and spring of next year. And last, just discussion and feedback, evaluation, and progress monitoring. Just tell me how things are going, what we need to improve, what we need to change, and we'll do that in our monthly PLC meetings as well. And last, I just want to give you some references that I use. These are just some different areas I went to get the information. Ruby Payne does an excellent job in the book, A Framework for Understanding Poverty. It's a great book. And then you can see the other people I worked with in preparing this presentation.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank
Nice
you.
job.
Any questions, concerns, anything on your mind? I know I threw a lot at you, but we'll work together.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think it's going to be interesting as we move forward with our particular students, given the vast differences between us and the rest of the county, and the unique things that we can do here at C.F. Taylor to help kind of make things a little more.
Shrinking the gap, I guess you could say. Yeah, shrink the gap. See if we can, maybe next year we look at some of these numbers and we see a decrease in some of the graphs.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.